Hey guys, WinterSpy1127 here, bringing you Fairy Tail chapter 295, Sting and Lector. So the chapter begins with Sting and Rogue activating Dragon Force. Sting decides to tell Rogue not to get involved and that he'll take on both Natsu and Gajeel. Sting, in his Dragon Force mode, managed to beat the crap out of Natsu and Gajeel. And apparently he's also a White Dragon Slayer, or a Holy Light Dragon Slayer, or something like that. Sting, in his Dragon Force mode, lets out the White Dragon's Holy Breath, which was so devastating that it destroyed the stadium's floor. And that the rest of the battle was pretty much underground. But, you know, Natsu and Gajeel, they still didn't give up. So, Natsu decides to use Fire Dragon's Sword Horn to slam against Sting, and then Gajeel used the Iron Dragon's Roar to attack him from behind. But, you know, that didn't work because, you know, Sting, he's in Dragon Slayer mode. And then he uses this new attack, which he calls the Light of the White Dragon purifies all things Holy Ray, which he unleashes multiple beams of light at both Natsu and Gajeel. And I gotta be honest with you, this was one of the best parts of the chapter. Seeing Sting beating the crap of Natsu and Gajeel in his Dragon Force mode. It was really, really good. Right after Holy Ray, Sting still proceeds to beat the crap out of Natsu and Gajeel. Oh my god. They're getting their asses kicked. And you know what? The fight was starting to become really good. No matter how Natsu and Gajeel try to attack Sting, he always attacks back. And it was really, really good. But then, I don't know if this is the part where things start going downhill in this chapter, but Sting decides to have a flashback. And according to this flashback, his ex-seed, Lector, he was being bullied by some people because the people assumed that he and Sting were lying about Sting beating a dragon. And he's crying because he hated that people were saying bad things about him and his friends, yeah, etc., etc. So Sting decides to make a promise to Lector that he'll find this guy named Salamander, and one day that he will beat him in front of everyone, just so he can prove that Lector wasn't lying about him being a dragon. Yeah, you know what? I can understand why. I mean, I do feel bad that Lector is being bullied, but I can understand why people assume that he's lying. Ever since Sting and Rogue were introduced, they said it was led to believe that they killed their dragons, the ones that taught them Dragon Slayer magic. It was always been brought up, and yet we never actually see them beat their dragons. And to be honest, I'm even having doubts that they ever beat them. I mean, Gildarts couldn't beat Acnologia, Fairy Tail couldn't beat Acnologia. What makes them able to beat Skydrum and Vicelogia? His promise to Lector. He's going to fight Natsu and beat him in front of everyone just to prove that he wasn't lying about killing dragons. Just to get Lector to stop crying because he felt bad that people were making fun of him. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I can understand why he wants to beat him, but isn't there like a better reason, like he wants to surpass him or to get him to acknowledge him? I mean, he did admire Natsu, so you just want to beat it. It just assumes that he wants to beat him just so he could prove to everybody that he wasn't even lying. You know, if Hiro was gonna show him a flashback, you know, if there were gonna be flashbacks in this chapter, I was hoping a flashback of Sting and Rogue beating their dragons, so that I would know that they actually did kill their dragons. But they just keep bringing it up, and I just can't help but assume that they didn't. After that flashback, apparently, during the flashback, the fight was still going on, and Natsu and Gajeel, they're on the ground. They're beaten. It looked like Sabretooth had won thanks to Sting. And, you know, Rogue, he was just standing there on a piece of the stadium floor doing nothing, even though his Dragon Force was activated. But, okay, this is a problem right here. Natsu and Gajeel, they get up, even though they're injured, they get up, and they brush it off like they seem to look okay. Even though they say they're hurting, they're still able to get up. So when they fight against a second generation Dragon Slayer like Luxus, they struggle to get up. They have a hard time beating Luxus in the Fighting Festival arc. Yet when they're fighting a third generation Dragon Slayer like Sting, they're able to get up even though they're injured and seem to brush off the attacks. Am I the only one who's having a problem with this? I mean, Natsu faced against really tough opponents. Even though he won most of the fights, he had a hard time getting up. But when it comes to Sting, a third generation Dragon Slayer, oh, he can easily get up and continue fighting. Even if he used Dragon Force. And then Natsu, he says that he saw through all his habits and learned everything. The timing of attacks, the body position, when he defends, the rhythm of the breathing. So, I'm not really sure about this, but it seemed like they wanted to get their asses kicked so they could learn Sting's moves. And since when did Natsu become intelligent in a fight? Again, this is another thing I had a gripe with. Natsu and Gajeel, they're having an argument of the position of Sting's attack. So what Natsu does is push Gajeel in a cart, pull a lever, and the cart just rides down the tracks while Gajeel goes into a tunnel and he's starting to throw up because he's now sick. Right after that, Natsu, I'll admit this page was pretty cool. Natsu then, he says, "I alone am enough. Bring it on, both of you." And I will admit, I did like the fact that he spelled "come on" with his fire magic. But Natsu is gonna face against both Rogue and Sting all by himself. And, that's where the chapter ends. So, okay, this chapter, it was a good chapter. I mean, from beginning to the middle, but then right around, like, either the beginning or the end of the flashback, things started going wrong. I mean, Natsu and Gajeel being able to get up after getting their asses kicked by Sting in his Dragon Force mode, which I was really disappointed in that. And then another thing, Natsu, pushing aside Gajeel, and then saying that he'll take on both Sting and Rogue? No, I know that Natsu is the main character and all, but this isn't how I want the fight to go. And also, he only learned the tactics of Sting. He didn't see Rogue fight at all. Rogue didn't fight at all in this chapter. So he doesn't know what Rogue can do in his Dragon Force mode. So even though he knows what Sting can do, and he probably might beat him somehow, it's fairy tale. What do you freaking expect? That doesn't mean that he'll be able to defeat Rogue. Ever since this match started, Natsu has been fighting Sting, and Gajeel is basically fighting Rogue. I don't know, is he becoming overconfident? Because next week's chapter, it's going to be called Natsu versus the Twin Dragons. So Natsu's going to be facing against both of them. Maybe I wouldn't have a problem with that if the fact that he pushed aside Gajeel. If Sabretooth loses, I hope they lose with their dignity. I mean, a decent loss. Not like they lost because Hiro was trolling. And as for Natsu and Gajeel, I wouldn't mind them. The way I want the fight to be is Natsu and Gajeel team up, work together, go all out against both Rogue and Sting. Yeah, they struggle a bit, but if they work together and use their powers to beat them, then I would have been okay with that. Just because I didn't like the ending, I still liked this chapter. So, you know what? I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Beginning to middle, it was great. seeing Sting in his Dragon Force mode beating the crap out of Natsu and Gajeel, that was great. The fight was good. The flashback, I didn't actually care that much, really. It didn't actually show anything that we learned about Lecter and Sting. We just learned that Sting decided to make this promise to beat Natsu so that he could prove that he actually did beat a dragon. Even though I doubt he did, because we still don't even know if they did. And then at the end, where they're able to get up, and then Natsu pushes aside Gajeel so he could fight against both Rogue and Sting. No, I didn't like that. Aside from that, I still like the chapter because of the fight scenes from beginning to middle. The ending I didn't like that much, but it was still an enjoyable chapter. So yeah, that's Fairy Tail chapter 295. I'm Lunar Spy 1127, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.